Hello everyone, welcome back. So we're on part 3 of Johnnykin's and the Goblins should I say. So this is how Johnnykin sang with an owl, the Goblin's spelling bee, and the Queen of the Dolls. Johnnykin and the Goblin sat down on an old tomb. The Goblin gave a long soft whistle when there was all at once a flash of broad wings. A great owl came sailing round and round them, looking shyly at Johnnykin. At last it sat down close by him in a friendly way. "Sporting?" inquired the Goblin. "Well, yes, a little," replied the owl. "I've often read about owls, sir," said Johnnykin very politely to the visitor, "but I've never made the acquaintance of one before." "Well, how do you like it, so far as you've got?" asked the owl. "Very much, sir. I've read in one of the many school books that you're always called the bird of wisdom." The owl cocked his head and winked his eye at the Goblin, and the Goblin said, "You hear that, do you? This young gentleman who's been carefully educated with the most expensive books says that everybody calls you the bird of the wise, the wisdom. Well, I am up to a thing or two," he said, after a pause. "And I have heard," said Johnnykin, "that in the old times they put images of owls into libraries, and owls are the enemies of mice, because mice injure and destroy books by nibbling them. Mice are the foes of learning." "How interesting," said the owl, "and how improving it is to enjoy the conversation of a scholar. That's what this young gentleman is," he added. "And it's all true what you say, sir, about mice. Miserable, ignorant little brutes they are. It's awful to think of the books they ruin." "I know a song, sir, about an owl," said Johnnykin. "Let's see you sing it," replied the owl, desperately wanting. "I think I can give the words," said Johnnykin, "but, the chorus goes, 'To-wit, to-woo,' as you sing, sir, and I couldn't do that very well." "Well, I can," cried the owl, "as is my own natured language. So just you find the body of the song and I'll do the feathering. I say there," he cried, looking up at the church. "Come down here, you musicians, you." Johnnykin had often noticed among the carvings on the church 3 figures holding an harp, the other a lute, and the third a panpipe. Down they came at the call and began to play very sweet music. So Johnnykin sang the song of a German owl. "I left my nest in the ivy vine, ivy vine. The moon was up, the stars did shine, oh shine, as I flew away across the Rhine, and sat on the tower of Falkenstein, Falkenstein. Twit, twoo, twit, twoo, bunty, doodly, doodly, dun, dun, doo." Here the owl, the goblin, the musicians, and all the images on the church joined in the chorus, and far in the distance, in woods and fields, one owl after another took it up, so that they could also join in They wanted to know who was whoing, and they wanted to follow it as far as they could with their ear. Oh, I don't know, but do you know the Falkenstein? The jolly old owl of Falkenstein. He has daughters three, divine, 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 daughters fair and fat and fine. To it, to, hoo, 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 runtly doodly doodin doo. The eldest girl is all the lace, and Gertrude is the second mate. The third one's name, well, you'll have to guess. There's much to feel we don't express. Twit, da woo, da wit, da wit, da woo, ooh, hoo, hoo, bunty diddly 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 doo. The owl stood on a mossy wall, and there began to hoot and call. The moon arose, and he flapped his wing. Said he, she comes to hear me sing. Twit, to woo, hoo, 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 buntley, doodly, dood and doo. There and upon the bushes sat, and when it rained it spoiled his hat. The sun came out, said he, oh, bosh, it's all the better for a wash. Twit, to woo, to it, to it, to woo, hoo, 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 bunty, diddly, 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 dood and doo. I will keep it up with an old English song, said the owl. Of all the birds that I ever see, the owl is the fairest in her decree. For all the day long she sits in a tree, and when the night comes, away flies she. Twit, to Sir Knave and vow. This song is well sung, I make you a vow, and it's Bill, Bill, terrible Bill. Oh, what do you do with that terrible bill? Rats and rabbits and mice I kill, and that's what I do with a terrible bill. Twit, to woo, Sir Knave and thou. The eyes of the owl grew larger and rounder with delight as he sang. Then the goblin whistled again. When Johnnykin, hearing a rustling and a clattering, saw by the moonlight that the great gargoyles or stone spouts, through which rain pours from the church roof, and which were odd monsters in form, having become animated, were climbing down the lead pipes, well, the mascarons, whose heads were the only parts of them visible, were drawing themselves out of the walls, in which they had been buried up to their necks. Up to their necks, indeed, and leaving bodies behind them to mark their spots. These all knew Johnnykin, for he had often taken their portraits, and as none of them had ever paid him for doing so, they treated him in the most amiable manner. This gentleman, said the goblin, turning towards the gargoyle, who has just joined their party, and whom Johnnykin remembered as having been perched on the very, very top of the tower, is the only one who occupies a very high position among us. He is a high churchman and very eloquent. You ought to hear him pour forth. In fact, he added gravely, he has been spouting on the church side ever since the days of King Stephen. Yeah, and during every reign at that. I don't know what the gargoyle would have replied to this beautiful compliment had not the goblin suddenly proposed a spelling bee to pass the time until the great meeting should begin. So they all four sat down around one very old tomb, for there they were going to have their very own spelling bee. And guys, that's the end of this part. What a very odd song indeed. I am not sure if you've ever heard it. I've definitely never heard it. Don't know what it actually sounds like in real life, but I thought I'd give it a go. Anyway, it's cute. Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate it. The next time we'll be doing a spelling bee with goblins and gargoyles and such. Many blessings.